to close the first part related to analysis. So let's now step to Walter Ricciotti, Managing Director of Made in Italy Fund 2.
Buongiorno a tutti.
Good morning, everyone. After this excellent analysis by Alessio Candi, I'll try to provide you with a different point of view, the one of an investor investing on excellencies, Italian excellencies, and the way we look at design, the way we see it, and how we compare that with other lifestyle sectors. 30 more seconds to introduce our own reality if you don't know who we are. Padrivio and Pambianco started 6 years ago as a partnership to match private equity with lifestyle know-how. And this partnership actually kicked off the first Made in Italy fund back in 2018, 300 million euro investing in 11 Italian excellencies. And we have actually just launched the Made in Italy Fund 2 with a size of 500 million euro. Let's get to the core of my intervention, private equity. First question is usually, do we like the design world? Yes, we do. For quite simple reasons, I would say, particularly if you invest in Italy. Well, first, design is a sector where Italy boasts lots of excellencies as for design and production too, which is something we have all to remember. The attractiveness of Made in Italy keeps on growing. Made in Italy is a brand in se. And there are two more specific, sector-specific elements that turn it into something interesting for private equity operators. It works on digital channels, as we've seen already this morning, and that's quite limited. However, this has been, and this is going to be a driver for growth in many lifestyle sectors. It has helped extend the consumer's audience, and also in terms of markets reached. In the design sector, that use is still limited, and that's very interesting for investors. Secondly, even though lots of transactions have been completed in the past few years, this is a highly fragmented sector. So I believe there's much room for growth in this sector for Italian companies, and as investors, we do see many opportunities for investing in the future. We were talking about aggregations and concentrations. Well, I have to say that we've been talking about that for a few years now, and lately we have started to go for some aggregations. Here are 4 groups you all know for sure. And I'm quite curious to listen to the 3 CEOs from the 3 main groups mentioned here, who are going to talk later on throughout the morning. And they actually went for a consolidation process within the group in a 3D growth path. Even though compared to international operators, clearly the size gap is still quite large, but that's being bridged. Talking about private equity, well, I just mentioned a few of the companies that now or in the past have been participated in by some private equity funds. These are only examples, of course. However, private equity definitely has played a role in the sector, and we believe it is going to do so in the future too. However, when we talk about M&A, investments, consolidation, we have two questions that actually come up when talking with the CEOs and managers in the sector. The first is, but talking about consolidation, does consolidation truly create value? And the second, which is more specific for my own sector, is how can a private equity timeline be in line with the long-term development of a company in this sector? I'll try to share my own point of view. Let's start from the first question. When we talk about consolidation, ex ante, we always provide an estimate, an assessment. Okay, production synergies, commercial synergies, cost synergies, positioning, image. The know-how is not something that we truly wait on ex ante when assessing synergies. Our experience, since we've been in the private equity sector for 25 years now, we have gone for several consolidation projects in different sectors. And, well, this is our experience, of course. I'm looking forward to listening to the forthcoming presentation. But this is our true experience. As for ex post, the past part of production and cost synergies is not that important. And, of course, each case is in se. We cannot generalize too much, but by putting together different projects, for sure we've seen how consolidation projects have led to commercial synergies. We have seen a great deal of strengthening in terms of image, positioning, and communication of the largest, highest groups. And a group which is not taken that much into account ex ante, but that which, as we have seen, creates value is our know-how synergy, management synergy, intelligence synergies, which is something that actually plays a major role to value the consolidation project weight. Second question was, how does private equity, usually investing on the medium run, how can that be in line with the long-term development of a company? Well, first, these are figures from investments we have made in our 25 years of activity. And on average, you see that in our experience, our average stakeholding in a company is 4.5 years on average, but 31% of the companies we've invested in, which we are not stakeholders of now, but will be their stakeholders for over 5 years. So it's not just a quick look, the one we usually take in our own transactional realities. Of course, compared to the lifespan of a company, 5 years is truly short, but in 5 years you can do lots of things. So this might be an excuse for not making plans in the longer run, but with a medium-term goal, all aims and goals are very much attainable. It is clearly quite difficult to plan over a very long timeline, but private equity is one phase. We've seen some previous examples of companies that were taken in by private equity funds, then they got listed. So private equity is just one phase of the company's life. The second part will be taken over by another investor. We do work on the alignment of interests between stakeholders and management, which is actually, I would say, a paramount part in our own job. This is, I believe, the most important slide in my slide deck, and this is the last actually. And we have reasoned that a lot for today's presentation. We, as Made in Italy Fund, are investing in different lifestyle sectors. And we actually tried to summarize in one single slide one main trends we've seen in the past 10, 15 years in other lifestyle sectors. We have tried to list them here, and I'll go quickly through them. As for lifestyle, all brands have turned more and more international. Successful brands are all global brands. This for sure a great trend in many sectors, like the apparel sector, which is the largest lifestyle sector. It's also been the most innovative one. So there's this trend towards a global pricing. The same pants, same skirt is priced the same way in Milan, New York, and Shanghai. Well, more or less the same. Almost all prices are aligned with much lower margins for the difference compared to what we had some 10 to 20 years ago. In other lifestyle sectors, we have also had a great growth of mono-brand, single-brand stores, which many luxury brands have invested on. As for multi-brands, only high-quality multi-brand stores have remained. So single-brand, high-quality upper tier, multi-brand on the other. In other lifestyle sectors, we have witnessed a higher level of the managerial level within the companies, as we've seen in the past 15 years, even welcoming people from different sectors. I mean, food, apparel, cosmetic sector, beauty sector. So managers from different consumer and non-consumer goods sectors. Today's snapshot, actually compared to the one we had 10 to 15 years ago, shows that there are high differences from this point of view. Fifth, higher connection between different sectors. This is also happening in the design world. The different sectors are actually working more and more together. We have already talked about the great expansion of the online channel, over 35% in some lifestyle sectors, accounted for by the online sector out of the total market. As for production, reshoring activity, which are reshoring activities which are actually continuing to bring productions back to Europe. As for outsourcing, insourcing of production, well, different trends appeared in different sectors. At first, we had this strong trend. Again, here, the apparel sector outsourced a lot. Now some are bringing in an insourcing part of their production because it is quite tough to find high-quality productions. Hence, here we have seen different trends so far in the past few years. And the last two items were instead quite strong, a great evolution of the importance and modalities of communicating throughout all lifestyle sectors, and particularly a strong approach to consumers. As I said. As we have already heard this morning, we've seen so many lifestyle companies devoting time, resources to CRM and to a direct connection with the end users, to talk to them, to pick feedback from end users, to pulling all this in a pulled action, not only a push action. Of course, many of these trends have been on in the design sector too, others not that much, but we do expect many of these trends we've seen so far in other lifestyle sectors to actually have a major impact on the design world too in the coming years. Now, my conclusions. We do expect the M&A business in the design sector to keep being quite strong in the coming years. Italian companies in general are fashionable again, so more and more industrial or private equity foreign investors seeing Italian enterprises and companies as possible interests. As for the assessments, notwithstanding the geopolitical uncertainty and the economic slowdown, we haven't seen any slowdown in prices. Actually, in the private equity world, we have seen no slowdown of prices or multiples, particularly for higher tier companies. We do expect and hope, of course, for private equity to play a definitely major role in the evolution of the sector. We, as private equity operators, have to show that we can create a true value in the companies we do invest in. We are turning more and more international because the leverage of international growth is for sure one of the most important leverages for growth in the sector. So we are getting equipped to be more and more international. And to close, as I usually say to all the entrepreneurs I work with, going for a transaction with a private equity fund does not necessarily mean you are selling out your own company. Thank you.